Well, I want to introduce myself first. My name's Dale Nickey. I'm a writer for the Hollywood Times Today, specializing in music and entertainment. And we want to thank Valerie Milano for facilitating the interview today. She's not with us, but she's here in spirit, certainly. Um, Suzanne Ross is speaking with us today. We're really happy and lucky to have her with us. And Suzanne, for our watchers who don't know who you are or your work, you want to give us like a thumbnail bio, tell us what it is, what you do, and describe the event that's coming up in San Diego on September, is it 19th and 20th, I believe.
Very good. It is. And
Yeah,
thank you, Dale, for attending several of my retreats now.
yeah.
I feel called to offer these gatherings of the spiritual community, connecting seekers with speakers and giving spiritual thought leaders a stage to present ideas about consciousness, spirituality. We also talk about near-death experiences and even extraterrestrial contact. So we dive into, the mysteries of creation and explore them in a very soul-inspired, heart-centered way. So that's what I do as far as being an event producer. I'm also the author of the Up trilogy, Wake Up, Rise Up, Enlighten Up. And here at my horse ranch in San Diego, I offer spiritual experiences with horses. So that's what I'm up to these days, Dale.
Okay, so the event you're having is called Explore Quantum Consciousness. It's in Mission Bay. It's at the Catamaran Resort Hotel. And I can say I attended last year's retreat in Mission Bay, and I can't recommend it highly enough. If you want to tune up your Zen, you want to learn things about the world we live in and the world we don't see, that's the place to go. And I'm always impressed with your attention to detail, the comfort level that you always have it in a nice climate controlled environment, comfortable seating. Um, Tell us more about the event that's going to be happening.
Thank you for asking, Dale. And I do feel so blessed to be able to offer this retreat at the gorgeous Catamaran Resort on Mission Bay. And last year we had it at the Bahia, but both hotels are owned by the Evans family, very well known here in San Diego. Catamaran was actually their first hotel, and it's fashioned after their favorite Hawaiian resort. There's a giant waterfall in the lobby, and the grounds are gorgeous. There's a parrot estuary, water features, palm trees. It's a gorgeous hotel. Of course, it's right on the beach of the bay. You can put your feet in the sand and walk in the water. Our event does kick off with a sunset dinner cruise. Bill Evans stern wheeler. We cruise the bay, enjoy a 3-course gourmet meal, meet the speakers, make new friends. There's music. And that's just the kickoff of our 2-day weekend retreat featuring world-renowned presenters. And our theme is explore quantum consciousness, experience quantum love. Because what I've done is I've invited people who have tapped in to that larger quantum field of consciousness, either by having a near-death experience and, experiencing another realm of space, time, and beyond, and ET contactees who find themselves in a different parallel reality, maybe in a different star system, or maybe they've had physical, contact right here on Earth. Hypnotic regressionists, because what hypnotic regressionists are doing is they're tapping into that greater field of quantum consciousness and accessing your own personal Akashic records, you might say. And yeah, so we have consciousness researchers. We have a neuroscientist, Daniel Branco. Of course, Eben Alexander's a neurosurgeon who had an NDE. And then, of course, there's channelers. We have world-renowned channeler Darryl Anka channeling the beloved Bashar. But we also have Marilyn Gewacke. She channels a very compassionate, wise being, Zazar. And then we have the beautiful Christina Aroche channeling angels. So meditations on the beach, indoor workshops, on-stage presentations and performances. We try to mix it up and make it fun, Dale. So I invite everyone to join us.
Well, it always is, and I've been to both the San Diego and the Sedona retreats, and I want everybody to know that it's a big tent community. It embraces both faith and science, and you always have heavy hitters. And quantum is no longer the province of weird science now; it's mainstream science now. And can you give us just like a thumbnail definition of quantum for those who don't know what it is?
Yeah, so I didn't want to use the word quantum just because it's fun to say and it's a buzzword right now. I wanted to really, know what quantum consciousness or the quantum field is all about. And so, I really did dive into learning about quantum physics, have interviewed quantum physicists, have read books, seen documentaries. I think the most fascinating thing about quantum mechanics, and this goes back, decades, is this idea that reality is only a wave of potential until it is observed, and only then does it collapse into a particle of form. Everything is energy, everything is interconnected across time and space instantaneously through quantum entanglement, overriding any idea of localism. So we, through the quantum field, are able to distance view like remote viewers. We can telepath. I mean, our gifts and abilities are really coming forward now. And that ability to communicate across that field of quantum consciousness is really being revealed not just by scientists and spiritualists, but by people whose gifts of telepathy, vision without eyes. I just came from Side Games in Charlotte, North Carolina, very gifted intuitives who can remote view. So it's being proven across many levels, this idea that there's, in spirituality like Buddhism, an infinite field of intelligence, right? That we are intricately interconnected to. It connects each and every one of us because we all are all of and from the same one infinite creator, right? But it's this creative field of information, intelligence from which all is created. And we are quantum creators ourselves.
Yeah, I'm particularly interested in quantum entanglements because as quantum seems like a dimensional superhighway almost. As a musician, there's been a couple of times, rarely, where on stage an event has happened or a mistake. And it usually happens with musicians you've been playing with for years and are very closely connected to. But I remember one incident where the drummer dropped a beat, and usually drummer dropping a beat will bring the whole house of cards down. But for some reason, the whole band merged with him and made the same mistake at exactly the same time, and basically saved the performance. And I thought it was a really remarkable moment. And I was wondering, maybe that's an example of quantum entanglement.
I would say that you're all in a field of coherence too. You're very synced up
Yeah.
in a moment of performing together, right? But yes, quantum entanglement connects two particles for all time across this field, right? And so, oftentimes, like quantum physicists will use examples like these states. It's called superposition, whether, it be where an object is, what an object is doing, all of that is undetermined prior to being observed. So this, idea that everything exists in a wave function
Mm-hmm.
prior to collapsing into form with the presence of a, intelligent observer, they would say, or, before being measured,
Mm-hmm.
it's just in this state of pure potential. All outcomes are possible. And, even the many worlds theory says that all outcomes, will occur at some point in space time. But in that moment, based on the observer, it collapses into just one outcome. But prior to that, it's in all states and all places, all possibilities, all at once. Very fascinating. But they say, as far as quantum entanglement, say that you had two gloves and you put each glove in a box, you kept one and you sent the other one out into the far reaches of time and space. Well, you would think if that was if this measurement was predetermined, then you would be holding either the right or left, and what was sent out into space would be the other one. But they say that's not the case. It's only once you open that box and you observe that, you determine if it's right or left, and if it's right or left instantaneously, the other one is the opposite. Not a signal sent across space-time. It's literally instantaneous, regardless of distance. The other one will take on, the opposite.
Yeah, well, it's kind of comforting to know that there are infinite possibilities. Both, yeah. Um, what I want to talk about also, going back to your event, because the proximity of the ocean is very important, I think, to you, the water. We're 75% water, and I think it really helps the resonance of the event, meditation, all the activities that we do. You want to speak to that a little bit?
Thank you for bringing that up, Dale. I used to do 2 events a year in Sedona, and I still do the spring equinox event in the fiery red rocks. It's the elements of fire and earth. But now I get to offer my second event in an atmosphere of water and air. So, annually, it's all 4 elements. I do love water. In Sedona, I say you ignite your soul. In San Diego, you soothe your soul, right? The water is calming. It's peaceful. It's the bay. So it's still. You experience a stillness. Of course, water represents flow. So you have this, harmonious flow of this beautiful energy. And so thank you for bringing that up. And of course, the gorgeous Catamaran Resort has all these big bay windows all around, the presenter area, the vendor area. So you're always looking out on the beautiful blue bay.
Yeah, yeah, and that's going back to what I said before about how much care you take with the comfort of the environment, of the people who are observing, and the people who are presenting. To be able to see the ocean, sit comfortably, it means everything. Because sometimes, the presenters are so compelling. Me and Renee will sit there for 4 or 5 hours straight, and listening to. Oh, and in the interludes, you usually have music. Are you going to have music again this year?
Yes, we have incredible performers, and their names are Dust of Soul.
Hmm.
This beautiful couple that he's a professional keyboardist and she is an opera singer. And so what they do is together they create what they call soul songs. So, they're extremely talented and they play spiritual music that creates this really high vibrational frequency, moving the audience into transcendent states that open the mind and expand the heart. But one thing that they do at their vendor table is they create individualized soul songs for people who come up, sit down, they tune into them, they put on headphones, and they create that person's own individual soul song, which they record and give to them.
Well, that's a unique experience, and I think that adds so much when course of the day at one of your events, you have many speakers, and having music that just resonates like that between speakers, it just adds to the experience, and there's no dead time. It's an immersive experience that just kind of continues throughout the day, and I think it was kind of inspired thinking to put the cruise, the dinner cruise at the beginning of your event so that people can gather together and meet before the actual event proper. I would recommend to people, I stayed at the Bahia last year. And if you can stay at the resort where the event is taking place, it's a really good experience because you bump into people, you can walk to the event, it's really comfortable, but it's not necessary. You can get a place offsite and drive to the event. And but that it adds to it that you can actually be at the event. So
Yeah, thank you for that, Dale. it is really important to me to create that. I call it an immersive experience so that you can leave your chores, the traffic, you leave everything behind. You completely immerse yourself in this experience for the entirety of it. And, the hotel has given us a discounted rate on the rooms, and we're even offering an additional $25 off your retreat pass if you choose to stay at the hotel. So, I really encourage people to book at the resort and just immerse yourself in the experience.
Yeah, yeah. I would recommend that too. It was really a great event. I'm sorry we can't come this year, but I do plan to come to the Sedona event in spring. Do you want to talk about that a little? Because you have companion events. You have the spring event in Sedona, which is the fire, the unit, and then the ocean event in was this be considered fall, I guess, or winter, or
Yes, I do
yeah,
the equinoxes, and I've been
yeah.
doing that for 12 years. This will actually be our 12th year of doing both a spring equinox and a fall equinox event. And so thank you for mentioning Sedona. I'm at that time, Dale, where I'm actually co-creating two events at once. So, in just 6 weeks, we have our San Diego Transcendence Retreat. But then I've already, launched the website for Sedona Ascension Retreats.com. That'll be March 19th through the 21st at the gorgeous Sedona Performing Arts Center. We have an incredible lineup, Dale. Every year I create a new and different show with new and different presenters. We might have a few mainstays like Darryl Anka channeling Bashar because he's a fan favorite, but we do mix it up, and we have Gaia TV star Teresa Bullard. We have Dr. Chamonix Jane. We have Jason Shirka. We just got Emilio Ortiz. We have Natalie Namaste, JJ Brighton. I could go on. I'm very excited about our lineup for Sedona in 2027.
Yeah, you always get the A list, and you always get people from different disciplines. Mathematics. Like I said before, mathematics, PhDs, lawyers,
Yes.
spiritualists, theologists. People like William Henry. Who kind of bridges the gap between religion and science. And yeah, it's really exciting. I love Sedona. If nobody's ever been to Sedona, I encourage them to go to your event because Sedona is a real knockout. Well, it's a vortex, and we went there and we just had a great experience. It's an interesting place because it's a place where one of the tourist attractions is the soil. We went out into the hills, and the soil is just this beautiful, rich brick red oxide. And we went out there and had our own meditation experience, and it was wonderful. So I encourage people to go to Sedona. Is that where you live now? Because you said you're in San Diego now.
Yeah, I lived in Sedona for 10 years, but 2 years ago, I moved to my family's horse ranch here in San Diego.
Yeah.
We have 25 acres, over 200 horses. And so I got certified as if by the Equine Assisted Learning Academy to offer therapeutic sessions with horses. So I'm just very excited about that. But yeah, just back to the Sedona event briefly, because you were talking about the vortex and going out on the land. One
Yeah.
real unique thing about my event is we actually have shuttle buses pick people up and take them out into these powerful vortex sites with
Yeah.
breathtaking views. Their favorite presenter guides the journey, drops them into teachings and meditation, sound healing, a vortex attunement. So yeah, a really special thing about the Sedona event. So when I went to create the San Diego event, Dale, I thought, okay, in Sedona you got to get out into the Red Rocks. In San Diego, you got to get out on the water.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's so great that this, Bill Evans Resorts have this beautiful paddle wheel boat that we can get out on the water and do that sunset cruise.
Yeah. And San Diego, the weather is always just pristine. I mean, I think when we were there at the Bahia, it was between 70 and 73 every day we were there, and it's just like it. So if you want to escape the heat in LA, go to San Diego and see Suzanne's event. I want to ask one final question, I guess. Since I've been going to these events and I've been involved in meditation, and the recurring theme seems to be, and not just at your events, but all the other events I go to in different cities, that the decade 2020 to 2030 is kind of the it decade for our 3D, reality. That a lot of stuff is going to happen, that it's going to be a real roller coaster ride. Um, I made a list, which I'm not going to recite now, but starting 2020 with January 6th and coming up till now, it's just been one global seismic event after the other. And you're telling me we're going to have an interstellar visitor in 2029. Can you tell me about that?
Oh, thank you for bringing that up. Apophis, the chaos dragon in ancient Egypt. Yes, they're
Yeah.
talking about this comet,
Yeah.
and they've named it I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but Apophis. And that was the name of the Egyptian chaos dragon
Mhm.
back then. But this comet is supposed to come very close to the Earth's atmosphere, and it is meant to bring, dramatic changes to the planet. Some people believe that, it might actually create this, shift that so many of us have been talking about due to the effect that it will have on, Mother Earth herself. So, feel free to Google that, look it up, see what, effects it's meant to have. But
Yeah.
it's and then of course, astronomers know about this, many people, world leaders know about this, and there seems to be then a related 2030 singularity that, so many are talking about. In fact, there's a whole 2030 Singularity Institute, where you have leaders in many different fields believing that in 2030, something is going to change dramatically on planet Earth. And that's what, everything has been leading up to, and what, everyone is sort of preparing for in their own way. Of course, in the spiritual community, we're preparing for it in a way that we really want to raise our light quotient, our love capacity, our vibration, our frequency to the highest
Yeah.
possible level, to be in service to humanity, and, to make a shift potentially into a higher dimensional experience.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to too. And yeah, you have a lot of credibility with me, because when we were having the 3 eye mania, you kind of just said, well, I'm not really thinking about that so much, but this Apophis thing, will be significant. And you were right. The 3 eye atlas kind of turned out to be a nothing burger. And but so well, we'll just buckle our seatbelts and see what happens, and do our work, and so I think we're at the end of our time, though. I wish I could go on a bit longer, but I want to thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks very much,
And
Dale. I invite everybody to visit San Diego Transcendence Retreat.com. You'll see we're offering summer specials, a buy one, get one half off, buy two, get one free, and also just 20% off for anybody who just wants to come alone and meet people. And that code is Quantum20.
okay, and we'll make sure that links are in this YouTube video, and I'm going to be writing up a profile on the event, for the website, and we'll make sure there are links
Thank
there so
you.
people. Yeah, and they can always just Google Suzanne Ross Sedona, and you'll come up, and they can contact you there.
Thank you so much, Dale. I'm sending you and Renee both a big virtual hug. I so appreciate your time today. And thanks to Valerie for letting us do this live Hollywood Times podcast.
Yes, thank you very much. It's been good, and I hope to talk to you again soon.
Okay, lots of love. Mwah. Bye.
Hey, take care. Bye bye.